And then quality. Quality is really important when picking an essential oil. Not all essential oils are the same. Something crazy that I didn't know before I started researching essential oils is that if you look at all of the lavender that's grown in the world, and then you look at all of the lavender essential oil that's on the market that's being sold, there's not enough lavender plants cultivated in the world to produce that much lavender that's on the market. So that's kind of crazy. So you have to know that not everything, when you buy a bottle of lavender, I have a bottle right here, depending on what you pick up, it might not be 100% pure lavender essential oil. So I'm going to tell you about the different things that could possibly be in your bottle of lavender essential oil. So if you think of a pyramid, and at the very top of the pyramid is authentic essential oils, which is, unfortunately, is not the majority of the essential oils on the market. And we're not just talking about lavender, we're talking about essential oils in general. So an authentic essential oil means that it's from a single species of a plant. So in the case of lavender, this lavender that I have, it has the Latin name Lavandula angustifolia, which I probably am butchering the name, but it only has that one species of lavender, and there's nothing else in the bottle except for that particular lavender species and just that essential oil. Now, what ends up happening with a lot of companies is because it's not easy to grow enough lavender to meet the demand, they might grow a less expensive species, but they'll still market it as lavender, and you don't know which type of lavender you're getting. But they smell differently, and they also have different properties. So they have different chemical compounds, and that can actually be dangerous. Just an example is pregnant women are allowed to use lavender, but it's the lavender that I was just holding up. They're not allowed to use spike lavender for whatever reason. It's not healthy for pregnant women. So they might think they're just getting the lavender that's good for them, but if it's not an authentic, pure essential oil, then they could have some adverse reactions because it's not what they think it is. The other way that an essential oil might be manipulated is they can put chemical extenders in it. So it just helps stretch the product so that they have more product to sell, so that they can cut corners. And a lot of essential oil companies don't necessarily know that their own product is manipulated because they're getting their essential oil from a supplier. And so that it's not always that the company is a bad company. They just might not know that their supplier, somewhere down the road, their essential oil has been manipulated. And the last category is synthetic, which this blew my mind when I learned this, that a lot of companies will create their essential oil in a lab. So it's not plant derived at all. There doesn't have to be anything plant derived in the bottle. They will actually synthesize whatever. So if they're taking, like, say, peppermint, for example, if they want to sell a peppermint essential oil, they can create certain chemical compounds in a lab that will make the end product smell like peppermint. And they might even produce some of the same exact, like, synthetic versions of some of the compounds in peppermint. So whatever these chemical, let's say there's 3 really desirable chemical compounds in natural peppermint, they'll be able to synthesize those in the lab. But the problem is that peppermint has hundreds of different chemical compounds, and we don't even know the benefits of some of those. So we're not getting all of the benefit that we would be getting from the authentic product. The other thing that's a problem is when chemicals are created in a lab, there's also a lot of unwanted chemical byproducts that are also created that just come along for the ride. So some of those compounds might not necessarily be bad for you, but maybe there's some reason why you don't necessarily want them, like in the case of like the pregnant woman, or maybe there's someone on medication. The other thing is it's not going to work the way you want it to work. And probably the worst thing is that some of these chemical like byproducts that are being created are actually harmful for your health. So that's not a good thing. So I just want to check in and see how everybody's doing. Are you guys, how are we feeling here? Type into the chat if you're learning anything so far. Great. Thank you for the feedback. So we're going to move along here. And so you might be wondering, which I wondered, like, well, how the heck do these companies get away with this? And I did a lot of research on the FDA website. It's fda.gov, and it's completely legal for a company to put things other than a plant-derived essential oil in the bottle and label it as 100% pure essential oil. So if you read the quote here, the FDA, and you can go to the link if you like, and I'm going to send this presentation to all of you if you would like it, so you'll be able to click on the link when you receive it. But the FDA says there's no regulatory definition for what an essential oil is. They say that people commonly use the term to refer to certain oils extracted from plants, but the law treats the ingredients from plants the same as from those from any other sources. And there's a lot of other stuff on FDA Gov that was shocking to me. There's also ways that companies can put things in their products and they don't have to put certain things on the label. And if anybody is curious about that, I can look that up at another time and I can send that to you. Another thing I'm just going to say too, with your products that you buy in the store, just any products like cleaning products or skincare products, if it says fragrance, a lot of times that is a way for them to put chemicals in the product and they don't have to report it because it's considered proprietary. So that's something, if it says fragrance, that's something you might want to be aware of. So I did a lot of research on different essential oil companies, and Young Living was the one that I felt like was the best. And interestingly, I actually first learned about Young Living from Christy, Timmy's, little Timmy, cousin Timmy's wife. And the first thing that made me really interested in Young Living was I asked her if the products were organic, and she said, oh, they're beyond organic. And when she told me that the soil that they grow their crops on have to be 50 years free of pesticides, which is beyond the standards for organic. For something to be labeled, to be certified organic, this soil has to be pesticide free for it's either 7 years or 10 years. I think it's only 7 years. So Young Living doesn't label they don't certify their products as organic because they feel that it doesn't really differentiate them from other organic products. But they have very beyond organic standards for their products. I know for me personally, I get my vegetables from a local farm co-op, and they're not certified organic, but they use organic and biodynamic principles, and I can visit that farm, and I know I can go to that farm anytime I want, and I know their practices, and I feel comfortable. And that's kind of how Young Living is that they don't certify organic, but they are so passionate about how they're making these products. They have their website is www.youngliving.com, but they have a dedicated website in this left-hand corner. It's www.seedtoseal.com, and it's a website dedicated just to telling you how they're cultivating their crops and how they're testing their products. So they do have a lot of their own farms, but they also work with partner farms and suppliers. And there's just crazy rigorous things that they put these partners through. Any farm that is growing for them, that's not their own farm, They have to sign a legally binding contract that they're going to uphold their standards, and there's audits and documentation and a lot of things that go into making sure these are the highest quality products. I could really go on and on about this, so I'm going to try to just cut myself short and not bug you too much about that, but I really have been learning a lot about just the art of how they farm and how they distill, and it's incredible. This farm right here, actually this picture, which is beautiful, this is one of their farms in Utah, one of their lavender fields, which is gorgeous. And this picture of this woman, this is my friend Kristen, who actually met her recently on Facebook. She's actually at a retreat at the Young Living farm that you see pictured, but right now the lavender is not in bloom. So Young Living, if you run your own Young Living business, when you reach certain ranks, they send you on a retreat, an all expenses paid retreat. She just reached the rank of silver. So she's out on the farm, and she posted this picture of herself on Facebook with some other pictures. And I'm going to read you a little bit about what she said about her experience at the farm. So she said that she's at the Young Living farm at Mona, Utah. It was amazing. We got to see the fields. They grow lavender, goldenrod, peppermint, hyssop, melissa, balsam fir, and juniper, which they plow with horses and hand weed instead of using machines and chemical pesticides. And then she talks about how she got to see the distillery, and she said she got to see, now the founders are Gary and Mary Young, and she said she saw their 12-year-old son was driving around the farm on a little golf cart, and that it just had like kind of a mom and pop shop feel, even though it's a multi-million-dollar worldwide company. And then Gary Young spoke to the group, and she said that like he was kind of like tearing up as he was talking about the oils, that he's very passionate and that he does not produce oils. Like he won't put oils on the market that he wouldn't give to his own kids. And actually when they do test the oils, if they don't meet their standards, their very high standards, they do not put them on the market. And one, I guess, bad thing about the company is sometimes their stuff goes out of stock. So there could be like a best-selling oil, but if it's either not meeting their standards or it's not good for the environment for them to keep harvesting it, they just won't sell it. And because they're going to put quality and ethics above trying to sell something. So anyway, so that's my little spiel about the company. And now we know about, how to pick a quality oil. And so how you want to know how you can use essential oils. So